It's time for the final at Players' Championship 26, the third day of Super Series action here in Barnsley this week, and it is a meeting between Rob Cross and Ryan Searle, two men who 5 years ago progressed from the Challenge Tour, and they're about to battle it out in the final challenge of today's tournament. Ryan Searle in the decider on his 34th birthday. Rob Cross crowned European champion just 4 days ago, looking to be the party pooper. Paul Nicholson is alongside me, Chris Murphy, to commentate on and analyse this one. Paul, I'm going to put you on the spot from the start. Two players in form. Which way will it go?
Not a clue. Not a clue, because this one is a bit of a coin flip. They both had sketchy semi-finals after brilliant days. But how often do you get the chance to win a ranked title on your birthday?
140.
I think this could be good, but I think it does depend on what Rob Cross turns up. He has regressed in the semi-final after an incredible 5 games leading up to that semi.
140.
But if he maintains what his average has been all day, then this could be spectacular.
Yeah, an early mention for the magical moment in that semi-final. Madaz Razmar producing it. A quite incredible 9-darter. It's worth looking up on the PDC social media if you haven't seen it. Razmar hitting a perfect leg today against Rob Cross. We've had 9-darters from Nathan Aspinall and Callan Ridds as well this week. It was Aspinall that was beaten by Searle in the semis.
Every 9-darter has been greeted with defeat. The 9-dart curse lives in Barnsley.
We are approaching Halloween, Paul, and I think that you might be doing a few voiceovers.
Getting a bit husky. It's day 3 or 4. You got to do day 5 and 6 for the women's series.
139.
The second half of those events coming up this weekend. Lisa Ashton and Fallon Sherrick leading the way. Is Rob Cross about to be leading this final? He will if he hits the ball. And he does hit the ball for a fabulous start to the final. A 1-2-4 checkout to break in the very first leg.
Nobody kicks that ocky more than Rob Cross. Just watch out at the end of maybe this leg or the next for that sound effect of when he pauses before going for his first shot at double.
81.
It's a little rat-a-tat-tat because he's kicking the ocky.
Well, you mentioned that Rob regressed in the semi-final, an average of
41.
just under 94 in that 7-4 victory against Madaz Razmar, but the standard before that has been so good that he's still averaging more than 100 for the entire day here.
60.
Yeah, 3 ton-plus averages for Ryan Searle and 3 in the 90s equate to a day of 98.3, which is still
94.
very useful, and that's around the average that he needed to win his first Players' Championship. And his hit rate in finals when he gets here is very, very good. This is his 4th final, and he's already won 2 of them, as Rob Cross halves his score from 360 there.
Yeah, 12th
26.
maximum of the afternoon for Cross. Ryan Searle has hit 13 before this final.
Something is clicking for Rob Cross right now. Those slightly longer points are getting to the board just the tiniest bit sooner, and that tiny little change in equipment is making a very big difference. Ordinarily in his career he has hated tops, but he seems to be getting on with it a bit more these days. 2-0 to the man who has 2 European Championships and himself a very, very good
100.
hit rate in Players' Championship finals.
Yeah, 5 out of 7 Cross, isn't he?
That is correct. He did lose the last one he was in, but he hasn't won one for 3 years because he had that huge cluster between the start of 2017 and the middle part of 2018 where he was in loads of finals and won most of them.
Interesting situation now in terms of rankings for Rob Cross, isn't it? Because he's defended the big chunk that he needed to defend. Now he's free rolling a little bit back towards the top 10.
97.
I'm going to put you on the spot now, seeing as you did it at the start. Is he in the Premier League now?
I think it's difficult to ignore any winner of one of the big TV titles. Certainly would be on my list, but I don't make the rules.
Well, let's face it, 7 days ago, he wasn't in the Premier League by anybody's
108.
estimation, but now he's definitely in for me.
He wasn't in the maybes, was he?
Not even considered. People were looking at other people, probably more Ryan Searle
139.
than Rob Cross. But now, he's looking at 124 again. Different route, different result. And Searle needs something like 20 and tops in 2 just to get his little foundation and just worry Rob Cross a little bit.
Well, at least he hasn't blocked the double.
Game shot.
And he managed to get a clear path. 1 dart at it and 1 dart in it, and a leg on the board for Ryan
Do
Searle.
you know what I think, Murph? I think that was a great plan because you took the words right out of my mouth. That single one was nowhere near
86.
being in the way. And when he's got an open tops with 1 dart, he is as good at that as anybody on this planet.
125.
There is an outside chance that Rob Cross could move back into the top 10 in the world
60.
this week. It would involve Michael Smith losing early tomorrow and Rob Cross winning this and that title. But you
108.
mentioned the Cross clusters. He's a man who likes to mop up a few titles in short spaces of time.
Nick here while the sun shines. Sun is still shining here in Barnsley
84.
for maybe another 90 minutes, if that. But these guys have big ambitions by the end of this year, but the
95.
ambition right now is just get the win today, add to your tally, and then try again tomorrow before they go on to the next challenge.
Good responses from Ryan Searle.
60.
125, 180, and then 95 as he bids to break Rob Cross. We haven't seen a dart missed. Well, he thought he'd bust there. Ryan Searle, now we know he's got problems with his sight. He thought he'd bust his score and step forward to retrieve them.
No
He has
score.
bust. I am speechless. I have nothing, Murph. I have nothing.
39.
Nothing to say. Right, try again, Ryan. Well, we haven't seen a dart missed at double yet in this match.
81.
We have now. Ryan Searle twice attempting the 101. One was perhaps the worst attempt you've ever seen for that finish. Second, narrowly missing the double after getting the middle bit right. Can Rob Cross get the end bit right here?
66.
No, he can't.
That's a huge mistake from Rob Cross because Searle gave him the invitation, gave him a red carpet to win that 4th leg. Oh, he might have to go a little bit further to the left.
10
That's a
scored.
big, big miss from Ryan Searle. But now Rob Cross, what do you do? Do you go for the 2-2-2 or do you go for it? He's going for it.
Game shot.
Perfectly done. And it's 3-1 and it should not be 3-1.
Yeah, and Ryan Searle knows that. You could see him leaning over the barrier at the back of the players' table there.
He's probably throwing up that attempt at 101 the first time because in all the years I've been watching darts, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
39.
Strange goings on in Barnsley here today. The unorthodox 9-darter from Madaz Razmar in the semi-final. And then Ryan Searle in the decider, busting 101 by scoring 100 after thinking he'd bust it by scoring 120.
23.
Is that going to derail Searle in this final? Earlier this year, when he was playing Jose de Sousa, he had a moment in that final where he let a leg slip and he wasn't the same player after that. Is he going to be the Ryan Searle that we know and love the rest of this final
59.
after that lapse of concentration? But we have seen the last couple of days, Murph, haven't we? The person who's taken the lead early has lost.
Yeah, Adrian Lewis,
60.
the biggest advantage squandered. He went 4-0 up against Dimitri Vandenberg in the first final of the 4-day Super Series.
135.
I'll tell you what this week has been, Murph, and that is an incredible advertisement for the Challenge Tour. Winner of the Challenge Tour Order of Merit, Rob Cross. in a final could win it. Runner-up that year, Ryan Searle. They graduated together. They've been on the tour ever since. Then, a couple of years later, winner of the Challenge Tour, Callan Rids. The Challenge Tour system works.
It absolutely does, and reaching Pro Tour finals 5 years after graduating from the Challenge Tour is what you would expect. But Rob Cross has done quite a lot since then, and this kind of checkout is why.
108.
That 101 will be forgotten if this 110 goes. He doesn't get a shot at double 18. You don't expect Cross not to take this, which would be a break of throw and the halfway point.
Very rare you see him having to move across the double 9. Loves pitching his tent in the double 18.
No score.
But he can't find a home in that or the double 9 this time, and Searle has the opportunity to cling on, and he does cling on to the coattails of Cross.
I was going to come back with some Klingon there, but I don't know any words in Klingon.
He didn't have any words earlier when Ryan Searle bust that 101.
I've watched a bit of Big Bang Theory in my life. I know a couple of words, but I don't know what they mean, so I'm not going to say them in case there are some fluent Klingon people out there watching Players Championship 26.
By the way, just going back to that moment when Searle thought that he'd bust his score with 2 darts. For those of you who aren't aware, Ryan Searle does have issues with his sight. It's because he's got one of his eyeballs that's basically too big for its socket. And he has blurry vision in his right eye.
It's like astigmatism.
It's incredible, players that suffer with sight and can still play at such a standard. I think it's quite remarkable.
I think we're going to start wrapping up a Gary Barlow song there. It's incredible, simply unforgettable.
Can't say I'm familiar with that one. But Rob Cross lining up a checkout. Is he about to say, "Take that," to Ryan Searle?
Well, he's got the take. And he's got the that. That's 4-2. And he reaches the halfway point first.
Paul, I will pose a question to you about Rob Cross after winning the European Championship, finding himself in this final. Is he back for good?
Very good. 7 days ago, I didn't even contemplate the thought that he could win that European Championship.
60.
All of the talk was about him defending ranking money and how much he could possibly drag back. The fact that he got the lot
104.
says to me that he's strong in mind, and everything he has done this year has led up to that. And now that he's got that, and the confidence that goes with it, and potentially another title today,
180.
what's he going to do next? Pick up another World Championship?
It all augurs well for the Ali Pali in December. It will be fantastic to see the crowds returning to the iconic venue in World Darts. There are a few more runners now than perhaps we might have thought they would have been going into that tournament.
Yeah, Rob's not exactly defending a whole chunk at the Worlds either. But the person defending in this game is Searle. He's not at his optimum level, that has to be said, and Rob is finding his first start way more often. And he's missed an 11 here.
89.
The second time he's made a big error at the end of a leg to allow Searle to sneak in with a leg win.
50.
And the dart was in the way. I don't think he moved. He maybe should have gone to the left to open up the bet a bit more.
There are other ways of going as well on that combination that could leave clear targets. Rob Cross hasn't left a clear target here. He's left anything but. You'll need a Callan Rids type dart from last night.
Absolutely right.
Game
That is extraordinary. Look at the angle of those darts. How did Sid Waddell put it once? More angles than a hypotenuse ever dreamed of. Brilliant. 5-2. Great dart.
It was superb. Up there with that championship winning dart from Rids yesterday evening. If you have missed any of the action over the last 3 days, you can check out highlights.
82.
Super Series highlight reels available at the PDC YouTube channel. A couple of the 9 darters were live streamed as well. You can see them there, and that magical moment when Jose de Sousa hit 3 bullseyes. All sorts going on here this week.
Weird and wonderful. What would happen if it was Halloween here? What was possible?
59.
Just looking at the titles that Rob has won at the top level within the PDC, he has been up against the cream of the crop. You talk about Mervyn King,
100.
Ian White, Peter Wright, Adrian Lewis, Phil Taylor, Ian White again, Michael van Gerwen twice, Michael Smith, Gerwin Price.
100.
He's beaten greats in finals. You'd have to probably admit, without being disrespectful to Ryan Searle, he's probably the most... Well, I don't even know what the right word is. The least likely to win. I don't know what's going on here.
Some kind of pause, some kind of delay. Rob Cross just stopping. Not really spoken to our match official there, Andrew Davis, to say why. He's just had a little joke with Ryan Searle and got back on with it.
100.
Strange things happening, as we said, Paul.
Barnsley is a home for
140.
us in Players' Championships, but it's not immune to distraction. Single 20 for tops to be within 2. He does move to the left, and he is successful on tops once again. If he starts hitting tops, Murph, as well as double 18 and double 16, watch out, world. Rob Cross is back.
Well, it's been a quite consistent week for Cross, hasn't it? He reached the quarterfinals on day 1, the last 16 yesterday, and now in the final and on the brink of victory on day 3.
You do get the feeling that Rob Cross has got more in the locker as it stands, because he's averaging 100, whereas Searle is staying around that low 90s range that he was flirting with in the semi-final.
Ryan Searle actually has exactly the same record this week, quarters, last 16 and now final. Obviously one of them will have a slightly better record at the end of the final, but he is one of the most consistent performers in 2021, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
130.
He's ticked a lot of boxes. He's been eliminated, I think, in every single round. He's lost in a final, he's won in a final. He's lost in a semi-final, a quarter-final 3 times. He's
180.
been the epitome of an accumulator of ranking points this year. That's why he's in the top 10 of the seedings for the Players' Championship finals as it stands.
Game shot.
And he has got himself a 3rd leg. So the fight back starts right now. He needs to do something very akin to what Gerwin Price did against Damon Heta a little bit earlier this season.
That was a
100.
amazing comeback from the Iceman. Of course, is missing this week in Barnsley, taking some time off to rest up that flared up injury, and has to pick and choose at this time of the year. No problem with that at all. We've seen players in the deep end of the tournament, but
60.
quick word on Michael van Gerwen as well, because even though he hasn't made it past the last 16 so far this week, his performance levels have been up there with
100.
how they were a couple of years ago.
Well, Michael's got a very sore head right now because he constantly bats it against a very heavy door, and the door isn't moving. You can't question his commitment.
42.
He is here. He wants to win a title. He is playing spectacular stuff. But for some reason, people are putting spells on him.
Well, it was Ryan Searle who inflicted the
96.
first of his 3 defeats this week. The last 16 match on Tuesday, in which Van Gerwen averaged 107.28, but Searle got the better of him.
117.
What's the one thing that would send MVG over the edge if he loses to Peter Wright in the final tomorrow?
Yeah, we've been here before.
66.
Well, still a final in front of us today. Ryan Searle is going to need a little bit of magic. He's going to need something special to make it a very, very happy birthday.
134.
And it may have to start here.
Too short. And you don't fancy Cross is going to miss 16 and double.
104.
Earlier in the match, he missed just on the outside. central single. Double 8. It's not in the way. And that is a reprieve for Searle. He's needing things like that. Can he take that bed? Double 4. Huge to go within 2, and Rob Cross shows the tiniest smidgen of doubt in this final as Cross gets closer. Well, Cross doesn't get closer, Searle gets closer.
Ryan Searle had a little word with Rob Cross again there. Something bothering both of them. But what will be bothering Rob Cross is those
134.
couple of darts miss at double to move within 1 of victory, and 4 in front of Ryan Searle, who instead has closed the gap to 2.
Bad news for Cross. Good news for us. More entertainment at the dartboard. Because let's face it, as PDC TV subscribers, that's what you want. You want to watch darts. You don't want to watch numbers clicking to 8 too soon.
Yeah, plenty more entertainment to come as well. The final day of the Super Series tomorrow before the Women's Series on Saturday and Sunday.
What's your prediction for this weekend? Do you think it's going to be Lisa Ashton to get a spot in the Grand Slam?
Yeah, if she does that, then it's hard to see how it won't be her and Fallon at the World Championship as well. A combination we've not had together yet at the Alexandra Palace. That will make it very, very interesting. Nobody will want to draw either of them.
Correct. Single 18. Ooh. Well, he missed a single earlier and it didn't have any impact on the leg because he went and got the 19 after missing the 20 and hit the tops anyway.
134.
If you want my advice, Ryan, don't miss this. Keep the momentum going.
Game shot.
That's what he does. He leaves tops when it's open and he closes the leg very quickly.
Closing in on Cross. Can he kick him away?
140.
One thing we haven't talked about yet is the fact that Ryan Searle has never beaten Rob Cross. It's a really interesting statistic because they played each other twice in that graduating year on the Challenge Tour and Rob won them both. And since then,
99.
they've played in 2 major tournaments in the UK Open and the Grand Slam. And on both occasions, Rob has won again.
83.
Yeah, Ryan Searle's had a really good rise, hasn't he, since that, as you put it, graduation from the Challenge Tour. We see him here 5 years on, having already won a couple of PDC titles,
80.
been a danger in big TV events. But it's just been overshadowed by the outrageous story of Rob Cross, who a year after that
86.
graduation was lifting the World Championship title.
Yeah, that's just borderline ludicrous. One of the best darting stories in history, him doing that.
100.
Searle has got to find a way to 52 here, if not better. Oh,
62.
well, I'm going to give him the bright side that 130 isn't that difficult compared to, say, 132 or 133. However, Rob Cross is on double 16. Tappy tap tap on the Yoki.
Game shot.
And it's now 7-5.
Cross making that finish look very easy indeed. Ryan Searle needing to dig deep.
141.
Choosing to switch. Just found the wrong side of the wire, but a good start from Searle, who, yep, he is 2 behind, and Cross will throw for the match in the next leg. But remember, Ryan Searle does have the darts in 2 of the last 3 if we go the distance.
95.
I said at the start of this final, Murph, that it depended on what Rob Cross turned up. It hasn't been his A+ game today,
100.
but it's been pretty efficient stuff. He's made a couple of mistakes, but he hasn't really paid for them.
75.
He's up near that 100 range, around that in his average, Rob Cross, but
55.
so, I mean, he's just given Ryan Searle chances that if he was another gear up, he wouldn't have.
85.
Correct. And the bad thing for Rob Cross here is not just the fact that he's adrift by 155, but maybe Searle is at the point where he
55.
is no longer under pressure. He can free roll, and when he does that, he can do scary things. Gets the single
Game shot.
and a double. This time he doesn't fluff the lines on a one or something check out. And this is the one that is most difficult for Searle because he's got a break cross.
Where this is the leg
100.
for the newly crowned European champion, winning it for the second time. The
100.
former world champion. One of the most successful players in the PDC already in his still fairly fledgling career.
Still got at
58.
least 10, 12, 15 years to go in his career, depending on what he wants to do.
There are only a handful of players that have won multiple
57.
major titles, and Rob Cross is one of them.
There aren't many players who have won multiple European championships, let me tell you. Taylor and Van
81.
Gerwen. What company that is.
140.
Ryan Searle trying to keep him company in this match for a little longer. Cross needing a treble.
Well, I was just about to
52.
say great switch, but that has cost him, and Searle is in. This is getting rather edgy.
100.
If we go to the wire, Searle will have the darts.
130.
Superb from Cross to leave 76. This might have to go to survive. It's another ton plus out. It's another shot at tops.
84.
And it's a miss this time by some distance. So Cross should get at least one tournament winning dart.
It is one. He wants to stay there, doesn't he, for double 18. He's just managed it.
Yep.
Match dart incoming for Rob Cross. That is go-to double. And it is the double that sees Cross claim his second title in just 5 days. European champion on Sunday, and he wins his first floor title of 2021.